Welcome to One Girl in All the World, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy superfan.
I'm Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
You can currently find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube, and Instagram with new episodes on Tuesday. So let me just get the synopsis and everything, and then we can get our initial thoughts on it. So The Pack aired on April 7th, 1997. This is the 6th episode of the first season, so we are officially halfway through the first season, because there's only 12 episodes.
Right, yeah. I forgot that. Wow,
so we're at the halfway mark. Okay. It was written by Matt Keane and Joe Reichenmeyer, and directed by Bruce Seth Green, so he's back again. The synopsis is, when Buffy and the rest of Sunnydale High endure the annual field trip to the zoo, Xander and some other kids sneak into the quarantine hyena exhibit, but leave in an altered state. It's up to Buffy, Giles, and Willow to discover the cause behind Xander's bizarre behavior and reverse the transformation before it's too late. Meanwhile, Xander's new aggressive demeanor doesn't play well with his old friends. So that was your guess was, where do they go? I mean, your question was, where do they go on a field trip?
I said the art gallery or the museum.
Yeah, and the reason I thought it was a softball was because I said the name of the episode is The Pack. That was supposed to be a hint.
Oh, I guess I just didn't pick up on that. But I definitely never went to the zoo on a class trip. Did you?
I think in elementary school, yeah.
Really? Okay, I don't think we have any zoos anywhere near where I lived, I guess.
Okay, yeah, we had the Cleveland. We had the Cleveland.
We would have had to go to Detroit or Toronto, which are far, far away.
Oh yeah, Cleveland doesn't have a great zoo, but we went there as kids. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, what did you think off the top of your head about the episode? First thoughts.
It was hard to watch as a vegan.
I know. Herbert, R.I.P.
Oh my
Herbert.
God. Yeah, that made me cry.
Poor little Herbert.
Yeah, what the hell? I didn't like that. Yeah, that whole scene was cringy for me. And also, I was wondering why they wrote the principal out. Did he have scheduling conflicts or...
I don't know, actually. Okay. I know you said in the last episode or the episode before, I think you said during Teacher's Pet, I couldn't have been the principal. And I was like, just wait. Flutie gonna get it. He gonna get it real soon.
I kind of felt bad for what was happening, though, because that's a very traumatic way to go. Damn.
Yeah, and he's not a bad guy. There are a lot of bad people at that school that in and out the doors for the years to come. There's a lot of bad people that come in.
He didn't deserve that.
No, he wasn't a bad guy.
And Herbert didn't deserve that.
And I'll tell you, you're going to like him a lot more than he replaces him.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody cute, obviously.
No. You're going to like Flutie better than
really?
whoever replaces him.
Oh, weird.
I don't mean hot-wise. I just mean as a person.
As his person.
But I guess, if you had to compare the two, this Flutie is a better-looking man, I guess, than the guy as well. Hilarious. But that's not what I was referring to.
Okay, interesting.
But, yeah... It's poor Herbert, and
yeah,
I just can't believe, looking back, that we're on episode 6 and we've had 2 Xander-centric episodes already.
He was such a dick in this episode too.
Yeah, we haven't had an Angel-centric episode. We haven't really had a Buffy-centric episode.
We didn't see Angel at all in this episode.
Yeah, Angel and Cordelia were.
Oh yeah, Cordelia too. That's right. Okay.
Was not.
Yeah.
Were not present in this episode.
We're seeing more of Giles, which I'm enjoying.
Yeah. Angel was mentioned. I don't think Cordelia was mentioned.
I don't think so either, actually.
They talked about him.
Yeah.
His coat made an appearance, but he wasn't in it. David Boreanaz got the week off. But, yeah, I'm just, sick of these Xander-centric episodes already, and there's only been 2.
Okay.
Just don't do it for me.
The Teacher's Pet one, yeah, and then this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of this episode.
Yeah, I liked it better than Teacher's Pet, I think. But
yeah,
it's not up there for me.
No.
Even though we're starting to go along now. We're starting to get better episodes. But
I enjoy the character development again.
Mm-hmm.
Character development is going well. But yeah, the episode itself, I don't mind violence, but I don't know. It didn't sit right.
Yeah, eating the pig is hard. It's hard for us.
Yep,
us
didn't
vegans.
like that. Nope.
So we'll get into it and we can kind of talk about more detail what we thought. So we start off right in the zoo. At the zoo, the Scoobies are on a field trip, and Buffy is kind of just hanging out on her own, and she is approached by these group of kids, basically the school bullies. And they're just kind of being mean to her. They're like, "Oh, look at Buffy and all of her friends," and they're just really lame, honestly.
Yeah, actually.
And she just is like, isn't like intimidated by them at all. She thinks they're lame, which is the appropriate response, response to these idiots. And she kind of just gives it back to them, but it does get her down. Like they do, like then they start talking about her past.
Yeah.
It does, I think, affect her. It kind of puts a damper.
Yeah, like getting kicked out of her old school.
And we don't know his name yet, but like the ringleader is named Kyle. And he goes on to play, because I never forget a face. He goes on to play August in Once Upon a Time. So any of my Once Upon a Time fans.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I really loved his character in Once Upon a Time. We didn't get enough of him.
Interesting.
But yeah, he went on to play so much. I mean, obviously, it's a huge time gap between this episode and Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, it's August. So yeah.
Wow.
AKA Pinocchio. Spoiler alert for Once Upon a Time. He is also Pinocchio.
Okay, and then like he was only, is he in other episodes of Buffy? Like is he a main character? Like how do you connect these things?
No, I just remember face.
Okay. That's amazing.
I just don't ask me anybody's names 2 minutes after you've told me, but I never forget a face. That's why I kind of like spot people when I'm out and about. I'm like, oh, that person was in real life, or like if I'm watching a show, I'm like, oh, that person was one episode of Frasier or one episode of Buffy, like 30 years ago, and it's like a new show and the actor is making another appearance. I just have a thing for faces.
Could never do that. All right, that's cool.
I just have a good thing for faces. But
okay.
Not much else, but I got that. So it gets her down, and so she meets up with Xander and Willow, who are very excited about seeing zebra sex.
That was so funny. Wait, what did they say? It was like zebra's mating was like the Heimlich with stripes. That was so funny.
So they had a grand old time. Had a great biology lesson. And I'm sure Xander got off on it because I feel like he would.
Gross.
I know.
Gross.
But they're just very happy to be out of school, and they try to kind of cheer Buffy up by saying, hey, like, yeah, it's the zoo, but like we're not in class. So this isn't like,
and that's a fair assessment. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, any field trip is better than sitting at school.
Exactly.
Even when we had to go to the dump. I was like, at least I'm not at school.
Oh my God. We had to do a meat packing plant. Oh yeah. And this was an elementary school, not high school. No. This was like grade 3.
Oh my God. No.
Yeah, I stopped eating meat.
That is horrifying that they took you to a meet. I mean, hey, maybe they should have. Maybe it will be good for kids. Maybe that's a little young.
It was good for me.
People try to match between their food and where it comes from. So I don't know. But that is traumatizing at that age.
It's pretty traumatizing, yeah.
Yeah, so they were at the zoo, not the meatpacking plant. And they see that we see that the bullies have approached a guy named Lance, who, is kind of like looks on his own. You can tell he's kind of like a dork of the school, or at least like somebody that's on the lower like pecking order of the school. Yeah. And he's just like writing some notes. He's looking at the monkeys, and they just start teasing him about him looking at the monkeys. Like, oh, is this a family reunion? Their jokes, their insults are so lame.
Yeah, they really are.
Like they think they're so funny and clever and like cutting, but they are intimidating him. Yeah. And they start grabbing his stuff, and he's like, hey, come on, guys, stop it, cut it out, which is like so typical of anyone being bullied in a movie, right? That's what the person says. And Principal Flutie comes up, and these guys have already been on his radar. Yeah. They're trouble kids. And he asks Lance, like right in front of them too, like, what's going on? Like Lance is going to say, oh, they are picking on me.
Right? Like that's just going to make things worse. So what else is he supposed to do? It basically corners him into being like, nothing, everything is fine.
Yeah, of course. Like maybe if he like asked him later, or like moved them along and then asked him later in like privacy, he could like Principal Flutie means well, but
he's not great.
So Lance of course says, oh no, we were just joking around, like nothing going on here, which is like a situation that happens in so many like movies and TV show when kids are getting bullied, and like an adult comes in and say, what's going on here? They always say nothing because they want to like not get their bullies in trouble, because that seems like a way to get
bullied
punched
more.
In.
Exactly. Yeah, you're just gonna get it worse. Yeah.
So he leaves, and they're kind of like, oh man, that was like, Lance, that was cool of you not to rat us out, so let's hang out together. And he's kind of like a little bit excited about it. They're like, oh,
just
maybe I'm
kind of sad.
It is sad. Like, oh, these guys are just bullying me, and now they're gonna accept me into their group, which is
they suck.
They suck.
Yeah, they suck.
They head into the hyena house, but it's closed. There's like a tape across it, but they just kind of go under it and go in. And Lance is like, oh, we're not supposed to go in here. And they're like, here lies the fun. Like, yeah, we're not supposed to do it. That's why it's fun. So they head into the hyena house. Buffy, Willow, and Xander see this happening, and they know that Lance is not friends with them. And that Xander says, oh, they're like a cat playing with a mouse. So he knows that they don't have good intentions going in there with him.
Yeah.
And the first eye roll that I have for Xander.
Yes, of course.
Buffy, she's a protector. And even if these people aren't evil, they're just like school bullies. She feels like she wants to protect Lance and make sure they don't do anything to him. So she's going to go in there and like make sure they don't do anything to him. And Xander's like, step aside.
Yeah, so lame.
There's no slang. I can take care of this. Like, let the man take care of this.
He butts right in.
Yeah, he's like, I can handle this. And they're like, oh, God. So he goes under the tape and heads into the hyena house. And Buffy and Willow don't have much confidence that he can handle it. And they're about to head in after him, but they get stopped by a zookeeper because all these kids are not supposed to be going into the hyena house. So he stops them. He's like, hey, you're not supposed to be going in there. These hyenas are in quarantine and that they can prey on the weak and you shouldn't be going in there, even if they call your name. And Buffy's like, what?
Yeah, it's so weird.
So he kind of says like a myth that like out in the wilderness and savannah, that's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
Out in the savannah, there's, tales of like people around a campfire and that they hear their names being whispered. And basically they're saying that hyenas can understand human speech and they will lure the weakest away from the group and then attack the weak person.
Yeah.
And Buffy's like, okay, that's nice. Creepy guy. In the hyena house, Kyle and his goons, this is my notes.
I call them mean kids in my notes.
Yeah. Mean kids, his goons, there are so many words we could use. Try to throw Lance into the hyena enclosure.
I can't believe that. Like, that's really intense. Like, this episode, it's very violent. Like vampires are violent, I get it, but like, yeah, that's a lot.
That you could kill someone. Like, that's not it's not like a prank or like a joke. Like, you could be killed. Even if the animals didn't kill him. Like, you're throwing him into that's serious.
Yeah.
So he's struggling because he knows right away now that they are not genuine when they were trying to like hang out with him. Yeah. And Xander thankfully gets there in time and pulls him away and starts to pick on some of your own species. And they hear a kind of like a growling from the enclosure. It's kind of dark, but they see a really bad hyena animatronic or puppet.
Yeah, it's so weird looking.
So bad. You think they could have just used some stock footage of an actual hyena in a zoo, but no. They had to use this puppet with some animatronic facial features. And they kind of all look, and then there's this really weird thing where it's like their eyes all turn green and the hyena's eye turn green and you can tell something has passed between them.
Yeah. Yeah, and the green eye thing.
They all kind of seem like a little bit shaken and like in a trance, like something's happened, but you're not sure what. Lance tries to run for it and falls over, and they all turn because they've heard this noise, and he runs out, he's fallen over, and they all start laughing like hyenas. Yeah. And Xander just has a smirk on his face. At the Bronze, Buffy and Willow are hanging out. Willow thinks something is wrong with Xander because on the way back from the zoo, he was really quiet, and Buffy says, oh, I didn't notice, but of course you would notice. You notice everything about him. Like how his just you're very in tune with Xander's moods and health and everything. And she actually gives his blood pressure. And I meant to look up to see if that was a good blood pressure read. I can't remember what the numbers were.
It was 130/88.
Is that good?
It's fine. 130 is actually a little high. Like average is 120/80, actually. Like that's what you kind of want, that ballpark. So it's a 88's fine. 130 is a little high, but it's fine, I guess.
Okay. Thank you for your input. So I was like,
my medical knowledge can help with this episode.
I meant to look it up, but didn't.
I like how I thought it was really cute how she's like, he makes my head tingle. I was like, that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Very high school crush. I know. Yeah. Poor Willow.
And that conversation kind of turns to Buffy. She's like, and Buffy's like, I kind of remember what that feels like.
It's been a while. Poor Buffy.
And she's like, well, what about Angel? She's wearing Angel's jacket, we notice. And she says, he's never around. And when he is around, he just wants to talk about vampires. I mean, he's obviously hot, but she doesn't really think that there's anything there. And Willow says, oh, he's here. And she's like, Angel? No.
Yeah, and she gets excited.
Yeah. Let's that slip up.
Exactly.
So, like, trying to downplay Angel.
Trying to be cool.
And downplay, like, her interest in him.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but when she's like, he's here, she's like, oh, what? Angel? Mm-mm.
We all know Angel makes her head tingle.
Mm-hmm. So, no, it's just stinky old Xander. Xander saunters over. He's, like, looking at girls in a different...
They're noticing him, though, too.
Yeah,
there's... Notice. That was interesting to me.
It is very similar feel to when someone gets turned. Like, there's, like, a predator sexual tone.
Yeah.
It does feel like that.
I thought the sexual undertones in this episode were interesting.
Sometimes they weren't very... Sometimes they were over.
Yeah, sometimes they were a little gross.
Yeah.
Which we'll come to.
Yeah. So he finally comes over to Willow and Buffy, and he starts eating Buffy's croissant and, like, drinking her drink. And she's
also,
like...
is that not weird that this place, the Bronze, sells croissants at night? Well,
yeah, I think it is weird, but they also sold muffins. Remember?
I know, I do. I thought that was weird too. Yeah.
So I guess if they're gonna croissants and muffins go together, but not like at a club.
No, that's not nighttime food at a club.
And I know weird. For the future, they do sell hot wings. They sell
that's more normal.
A generic ripoff of the bloomin' onion. They call it the flowering onion.
Again, normal. These are normal bar food things.
Yeah. So I know that they
and
serve
muffins.
those.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think it becomes more like those are the only foods I can, off the top of my head.
I'm gonna start paying attention.
Yeah, we're gonna be at the Bronze for many years. So
I imagine we are.
We'll see what other goodies they sell.
So Xander is like all restless.
Yeah, he's very fidgety. Yeah. He's like, birds eat this stuff. And he's, I'm hungry. Acting very weird. He sniffs Buffy.
Yeah, that's so weird. That was so weird. And he's like, oh, you smell clean. And she's like, yeah, I took a bath.
He's like, you bathed. And she's like, yeah, I've been known to do that from time to time.
So weird.
Yeah, he's sniffing her. And Willow's like, what the hell's going on? We see Kyle and the mean gang
Kids.
Come in, and they definitely are clocking Xander. He's clocking them, but they kind of just pass each other. And they go over to a table and immediately start making fun of an overweight guy.
Yeah.
Saying that he should be over a football field with Goodyear written on him. And they're all laughing. And Xander starts laughing along.
Which is not like him.
Which Buffy and Willow are like, what do you do? Are you laughing at that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, he looks at them like, well, why aren't you guys laughing? That guy's fat. Like, that's the joke. Like, do you not get the joke? Like, that's why it's funny.
Yeah.
And it's just a very weird, like, they're like, what is wrong with you?
Exactly. He's just weird.
So in the library, we get our first training scene.
This is so cute. She's punching, she's kicking, Giles is blocking. And like I love
he's surviving.
He's surviving. I like it when he's like there. Basically, he's like, okay, I think that's good for the day. And she's like, oh, really? Because I feel like my last roundhouse kick was just, it was just okay or whatever. He's like, no, great. And he's like, basically dying,
limps away for ice.
That was so funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, I love we've seen him. We haven't really seen him train her yet. Like even in in any way. Like he kind of lectures her a lot about her responsibility and everything. But this is the first time he's like imparting any
physical
train
it's always been educational before.
Yeah. So it's great that we're seeing the first training session. It won't be the last. Giles is struggling, as you said, and he's calling it a day because she's beating his ass, basically.
Yeah, basically. That was so funny.
I love this next shot where something is running through the hallways and people are jumping out of the way.
I was wondering if it was something like a mouse or something like really scary, and then Buffy goes to pick it up.
But it's weird. If you just saw that running through your high school hallway, you'd be like, what the hell?
Not in my high school hallway, actually. It wouldn't be weird in mine. I can't lie. Sorry. We went to high school on a farm, so it would, I don't think it would have faced anybody.
Okay, at my high school.
Any other high school, okay.
That's right. You guys people used to drive tractors to your school.
They did, yes.
Right? Yeah, okay.
They did.
All right, you're like, this is just Tuesday.
It's normal. It's totally normal.
So there's a pig running through the hallway, and Buffy kind of catches it and picks it up.
It's so cute.
And we find out that he's escaped from Mr. Flutie, Principal Flutie, whatever, same thing, and that he's the new mascot. He's trying to be made to look into a razorback. Which is
but he's just so cute.
So cute.
Not scary.
And Buffy's a little smitten with him, which is cute. You know,
Yeah,
she's like,
she
but
is.
he's so cute. He's like, no, he's fierce. He's a fierce racer. The little tusks that they like put on him, and they put a little helmet on him. So yeah, Buffy is not squeamish about any animals that I've ever seen. Like when the rat ran over her foot in the harvest, this pig she just picked right up. Everyone else was like screaming and running away.
Yeah, which is, I mean, okay, I get how maybe if you saw a pig coming towards you, you would be surprised, off put, whatever. Like, but would you scream and run away from it?
I'd be like, come here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be scared of. Okay, anyway.
But she steps right in, doesn't hesitate, picks it up, and is petting it and loving it.
It's so cute.
So he just like, okay, well, help me take him to his cage because.
I love how he calls it a cage, by the way.
I know. Yeah,
oh my god.
It is.
Yeah, it is a cage. Yeah.
It's not even a big, it's a little cage.
No, it's tiny.
So Buffy, he kind of escorts Buffy to help him because he tries to take it and starts squealing. So Buffy seems to have a good handle on Herbert, so she's going to take him to his cage. In the quad, Xander and Willow are studying math, and he's getting frustrated and angry, just that he doesn't understand it. And he's just being kind of a jerk. Like, at first, he's not really being a jerk to Willow. I think he's frustrated with himself.
Yeah.
Because he just can't figure out the assignment. And he just like, what's the point of this? And she's like, oh, you'll fail school. Like, it's a little bit much what she says. Like, oh, if you don't pass this, you're going to drop out of school. And then you have to like work at a pizza place and you'll be asking the teenagers where the cool parties are. And like, okay, that's okay.
If you don't pass an algebra test, that's how it's going to go.
It's a bit much, Willow. Yeah. No pressure on him or anything.
Yeah.
But he throws her book in the trash and he's just like really mad and he like storms off. I did notice when she's like, oh, did you have a headache? And she like touches his head.
Yeah.
Like, very
but
intimate.
doesn't he also like kind of like, doesn't he like pull away?
I don't know. He could. Yeah. I think he's just distracted. He's just annoyed and he's distracted.
He also made the pig squeal.
Oh yeah, did that happen yet?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, right before they go to the quad, when Buffy was walking with it. He made the pig
Buffy
squeal.
is holding Herbert while Mr. Flutie gets I don't know why I keep calling him Mr. I mean, he is Mr. Flutie, but Principal Flutie gets his cage ready, and Xander doesn't even talk to her, which is also weird.
Oh, yeah.
Past her and Herbert starts squealing and, like, getting really agitated.
And Buffy thinks that's weird.
It's weird. Yeah. And Herbert calms down once Xander has passed him, because he's acting like a predator. Weird.
Exactly, yeah.
We're in gym class, and apparently it's raining, for a rare day in Southern California. So it's dodgeball.
That's so funny. Do you remember dodgeball in high school gym?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We didn't do too much of it. I remember we had like
a huge
badminton thing at my school, like where you would get eliminated and it would go down, and then people would come to the class, like to the gym class, to watch. Like it was like a big deal, like whatever team, the last teams, and like people would come and sit on the bleachers and watch.
Yeah. Okay.
So I remember badminton being a big thing in my junior high. That was in junior high. Badminton. Okay. But we did dodgeball, I'm sure, but it wasn't as big. I remember badminton being a big thing. It's a very aggressive game. Buffy and Willow are on one side, obviously with other teammates. And on the other side, it's Kyle and all his goons, Xander,
all of them.
Lance.
The whole pack. Yeah.
They're on the other side. Mm-hmm. So the game starts, and it's pretty benign at first, but it starts to get a little...
violent?
A little aggressive.
Yeah.
Buffy is dodging.
She's so good at this.
I can't remember what they said in the movie Dodgeball. Dip, dive, dodge, and duck or something. He says dodge twice. Oh, God. I can't remember the quote from Dodgeball. Anyway. Buffy has, like, Slayer reflexes and everything. She's not going to go down in a game of Dodgeball with a bunch of, like, high schoolers. Like,
must be nice.
She's dodging. She's diving. She's not getting touched by anything.
She's the opposite of me in high school Dodgeball.
Xander's getting aggressive as well, and he really hits Willow with the ball.
Yeah, like mean. What the hell?
Yeah, like really hits her hard, and she's taken aback.
And it hurts her feelings. Like, it's not just hurting her physically, but damn.
Yeah, she's like, that was mean. Like, why are you... And she already thinks something's wrong, because at the bronze, she's... Like, so with her, personally, she said, oh, are you mad at me? What did I do? And he's like, of course not. But he's singling her out.
Yeah.
A bit. Yeah. And he really whacks her with the ball.
Yep.
And then we get to the end of the game, or close to the end of the game, and it's just Buffy on one side, and then Lance, Xander, and the goons on the other side. And Buffy's like, they all pick up a ball, but Buffy's like, okay, I can't dodge all of these at one time.
Then
they turn on their own team member. They turn on Lance.
That's so weird. Like, why would you? That doesn't even make sense.
Because they know Buffy's not weak. And Lance is.
But
it's a Predator thing. It's not even about the game.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they know Buffy is
creatures.
Buffy is at their level as far as like strength.
Okay.
So she's not easy pickings. Lance is.
And so they all turn on him.
Yeah, they all turn on him. And Buffy walks over and helps him up and kind of stops things.
Yeah.
Which is so nice of her. Poor Lance.
I feel
he can't even, like, his own team like turned on him.
Exactly. That's so
he thought he was safe. And Xander like just walks off with them now. So now he's like joined their group, which is not a good
weird
sign.
So we're in the hall now.
We're in the hallway and Willow is looking sad by her locker.
Her feelings are hurt.
She's been affected by everything that Xander's been doing and saying, how he's been acting. So I think she walks up to him. He's standing there with the gang, is kind of in the background watching.
Yeah, and she asks him, like, what's wrong?
Yeah, he says, oh, there's something I need to tell you. He totally plays with her like a cat, with its prey.
My heart, dropped.
He's implying he's going to say he likes her.
Yep, but then...
My feelings for you have changed. We've been friends for so long. And to her credit, she doesn't go... she doesn't, look hopeful. She keeps
she's waiting.
Her poker face on.
Yeah.
Which is good for her, because it very easily could have went where she let us see that she wanted it to go that way.
Yeah.
But she doesn't. But he turns and says, what I want to tell you is I'm going to drop geometry so I don't have to look at your pasty face anymore. And he's just...
so mean.
Really mean. And they're all cackling in the background, cheering, egging him on.
Buffy overhears.
Yeah. Willow walks away upset, and Buffy hears this and walks up, and she's like, are you going to say anything to me? He doesn't, but they just all start laughing.
Like hyenas.
And Xander's laugh is, how he laughs is so cringe. He's like...
Yeah. Like a hyena.
It's weird.
Hyena laughs are really cringy.
I know. Just the way his, mouth goes. I just was like... didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then he just takes off with them.
Yeah.
And Buffy's just, again, totally, what is going on with him?
Yeah.
Xander and the gang are out in the quad, and they stop, and he sniffs the air, saying they smell dogs. They walk over to somebody eating and take their, hot dogs.
They just take their food.
They take just the hot dog out of the bun and start eating it, and they said it's too well done. And these guys are like, what are you doing? Stop. What are you doing? And they're just ignoring them.
Weirdos.
And then they say they can smell something, fresher. And they head off. And he, one of them, I can't remember, gets up on the table and, stomps on their plates.
They're starting to show them become more feral, really.
Yeah, exactly. They're regressing into more animalistic things.
Yeah. Yep. So then they go find poor Herbert.
They find Herbert, and he's just kind of squealing in his cage. Something's wrong.
That scene just made me. Oh, I hate that.
I know, poor Herbert.
Ugh, God.
Poor little Herbert.
Well, especially because whatever they had to do in real life to film that, they had to make it squeal, so it just hurt my heart.
Or it could have just been. It could have been just a sound effect. We'll go with that.
Okay, I like that. Okay.
You could just put a pig squeal over it.
Okay.
That's what we're gonna go with. Herbert was fine. He wasn't upset. So
no pigs were harmed in the filming of this episode.
Thankfully, we cut to black.
Yeah, thank God.
It's commercial at that point.
Yep.
When we come back, there is a long, I think the slow-mo of Xander and them walking around. It went on way too long. I don't even really know what point of it was. This montage. It
was extensive, yeah.
And it didn't even really do anything. People were looking at them.
Yeah.
But that's it. People were noticing them, and people were kind of keeping their distance from them, but that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, it went on for I think way too long.
Yeah, a few minutes.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if it was for time. They could have done something better with the extra time, because you have to have it pretty on.
Yeah.
You have to have it a
40 minutes or whatever.
Small window to end an episode.
Yeah.
And if you have time, usually you can do something better with that. You can throw in some extra lines, add some extra context, whatever. But this slow-mo montage that was just
this was their decision.
It was too long.
Yep.
He stops when he sees Willow and Buffy up on a balcony kind of at the school talking, and then we cut to them. Willow is crying, upset because of what Xander said to her, And she's like, it's just about me. He's not doing the stuff to you.
Exactly.
He's doing it to me. And Buffy's like, oh, you think this is about me? She's like, yeah, of course. I think he just wants to be with you.
He just sniffs you a lot.
Yeah, he likes to sniff you. He doesn't like to sniff me. It's sad. I'm sad. And she's like, I don't think so. I don't think this is all this is. Why is he hanging out with them? Like, something's going on. I'm going to figure it out.
Buffy's being more logical. Willow's being emotional.
Yeah, she's hurt.
Yeah.
And Buffy is, she's hurt for Willow, and she doesn't like how Xander's acting, obviously.
No,
but she hasn't done anything. She still has her emotions in check, like you said. So Buffy's like, I know who to talk to about this. Buffy's in the library telling Giles all about Xander's crazy behavior. He's picking on people. His clothes have changed. I didn't notice his clothing change.
I didn't notice that either. This reaction was amazing, though.
Yeah, his moods, everything. He's like, that is heartbreaking or something, he says. She's like, he's turned into a 16-year-old boy.
Right? Testosterone. This is what happens. Testosterone turns people into, what did he say, like morons?
All men into morons. True. Thank you, Giles. Thank you, Giles, for saying it.
Oh,
because it's the truth. Preach, Giles.
That might have been my favorite line. We'll see.
It is good. And she says, of you of all people, you're going to Scully me. Did you get that reference?
Oh, no.
It's X-Files.
Okay, I do
Scully is the skeptic. And Mulder is like the believer.
Okay, got it.
So Scully's always like, here's an explanation for this. Here's an explanation for this. It's not aliens. It's not this or that. Here's a logical explanation. So she thinks Xander's trying. I mean, I'll get there eventually. Xander, Willow, Giles. Giles is trying to Scully her.
Okay, that's funny. I missed that. Okay.
He says, boys do that. They prey on the weak. They da-da-da-da.
This clicks in her head. She's like, whoa, wait a minute. Prey on the weak?
Yeah. She's like, where have I heard that before? And she puts it all together now that that's what the zookeeper had said about the hyenas. She's like, wait, this all started when they went in there. Yeah. And they laugh. Like, she puts it together. She's like, how could I not have seen this? Like, the way he's acting. Yeah. And Willow comes in saying that Herbert's been found and he's been eaten.
Oh, my God.
And Giles is like, okay, well, maybe there is something going on here, so I'm going to go to my books and look stuff up.
Yeah.
I like how Buffy, again, she figured it out.
Yeah, she did.
She put 2 and 2 together. And
she actually thinks at this point that they were possessed by hyenas. Yep.
Possessed by one or turning into one or possessed by one.
Something, yep.
Yeah, she figures it out. In the quad, Principal Flutie makes his way, the gang minus Xander are sitting on a picnic table, and he comes up to them being like, I know you guys had something to do with Herbert because people saw you outside of his room.
And they said he was crunchy? Oh!
Yeah, how's Herbert? Crunchy. Yeah, so mean, and they're all laughing. And Flutie, is horrified.
Yeah, of course he is.
And once they say that, he's basically saying, I'm keeping an eye on you, but once they say that, he's like, okay, right to my office now. And he says, you're going to have so much detention that your grandchildren are going to be staying after school, which was my favorite line. I thought that was a great one.
Oh, man.
I loved that.
That was a good one.
In the library, it is research time. Giles has been like, I should have remembered this, that there is a sect of animal worshippers known as primals, and they believe that humanity, like the soul, is a perversion and a delusion of spirit. So to them, the animal seed is holy. They are able to, through transpossession, draw the spirit of certain animals into themselves. And they only really are interested in predatory animals because they want to gain power.
Right.
They don't want a koala's spirit. It's or a sloth. You know what I mean?
I would welcome that spirit.
Yeah, but if you're looking for power, you're not going to go for that. You're looking to have power over the people.
I like how Buffy says they're the schmoes of the animal kingdom.
The schmoes of the animal kingdom.
That was cute.
So that group, also called the Primals, is the Messiah of the Serengeti. I'm so bad at pronouncing things, but sorry.
That sounded good.
He says, we're going to use some references from demonic possession. Maybe that will apply. And it says in demonic possession that you may be able to remove the spirits into someone else. And she's like, well, how are we we're not going to just pick a person and put them in him. That doesn't really help us.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't do that.
Yeah. And she says, well, what happens if we don't take care of this? And he gives her a picture to look at. And so she runs off after looking at it and says that I need to find Xander. Willow sees it, and it's a picture from the Divine Comedy. And it basically shows like these like
Oh, it is?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Apparently.
Oh, how did did it say that?
No, I just looked it up.
Oh, okay. I was like, because I had to read that in school, actually. Okay.
And it's just like basically people like disemboweled bodies, like missing head, missing legs, missing torn open torsos. So it's pretty gruesome. So basically he'll just start eating people.
Yeah.
So Willow is obviously worried about that. Buffy decides to start in Herbert's room, and she finds his little bones and like the cage is all ripped apart. I don't know why they couldn't just open the door, but they just like ripped it apart
because they're
ate him.
Like
because they're
turning more and more feral.
Yeah, makes
animalistic. Sense, but yeah, and then Xander finds her.
Xander shows up and startles her. She tackles him to like subdue him,
but then he overtakes her. Yeah,
he's strong now. Basically, sexually assaults her.
Yeah,
he talks about. She's like, let me up. He's like, is that what you want? Do you really want me to let you up? I'm like, oh my God, these are like textbook.
I thought this was really gross, actually, this scene.
It was awful.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
When are you going to stop pretending we're not attracted to each other? Like, oh, I was waiting for you to jump my bones. Like,
yeah, ew.
She's saying, get off of me. And he's not getting off of her.
No.
He pins her up again. Like, she gets up eventually and he pins her against the wall. The more scared you are, the better you smell or something like that. And he's strong. He's gotten strength now. So she can defend herself, but it's not as well as usual. And he kind of just like puts his like face in her neck, and then we don't know what's happened.
Yeah, I don't like that. That was gross.
We're in Flutie's office, and he's yelling at them like, "How could you do this to this poor innocent pig? Like, we're going to this council. We're going to the school counselor. You guys are gonna get so much trouble." And then they like start like kind of closing in on him, and kind of like making not exactly the hyena laugh, but kind of like whining. Those like hyena whines. Like he tries to pick the phone up. They won't let him pick the phone up. They, like, push him in his chair. They scratch his face.
Yeah, that was when I was just like, whoa. Because I didn't realize at that point yet that this is where this episode was going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they basically attack him. His chair falls over, and you just, like, zoom in on his little picture that he has of himself on the desk, which is it's not even, like, a family picture. That would have been sadder if it was, like, him, his wife, and his kids.
Actually, yeah, that's true. You're right.
Instead of just a picture of him. Like, who has a picture of just themselves on their desk? But, okay.
And they're, like, snarling. Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, obviously they're attacking him. In the library, Buffy drags Xander in. Willow's there. Drags Xander in. He's unconscious and says that she hit him with a desk and that he tried felony sexual assault. So I'm glad that they called it out. And they try to very clearly differentiate between Xander and, like, hyena Xander. Mm-hmm. Because Willow says, oh, the hyena in him or something along those lines didn't, and she's like, no. His idea of like romance or something like that didn't involve like a Yanni CD and like some alcohol. So they kind of like brushed it off a bit, but they did call it what it was. So that was good even in 1997 because they could have it could have totally just washed away that whole thing.
I thought it was interesting how they're showing the animalistic violence with like the eating of things, but they're also the sexual aggression. I thought that was, I'm surprised that they kind of went there.
Yeah.
Like it's good to show that.
And call it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in 1997.
Yep.
For sure. So they lock him up in the cage, essentially a big cage that they have in the...
Was that there before, by the way? I don't seem to remember this cage before.
I can't remember. It's there for going forward, but I can't remember if we've seen it.
I don't remember it being introduced at all. Okay.
We haven't talked about it.
Okay.
Whether it's been in the background or not, I can't remember.
All right.
But they lock him up in there. It's supposed to be like the priceless books and all that stuff, like keep students out. But we get use out of it.
Yeah.
A lot. Because we need somewhere to lock people up. And monsters and stuff and people when they're possessed or whatever. We need somewhere to put people. So this works out well. And there's also books in there.
Perfect.
So that's the cover story for this cage. It's for the books.
Obviously.
They need protection.
So Giles is talking about how to transpossess. And he talks about a predatory act.
Giles, does he come in first and then talk about Principal Flutie?
Yeah, he walks in. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry, he does. He talks about Principal Flutie.
Yeah, Giles comes in and tells Buffy and Willow, the gang has eaten Principal Flutie.
Yeah.
The official line is that wild dogs got into his office and ate him.
Right, that's
but they
totally
know better.
Possible.
He says that the gang, those guys were seen outside of Flutie's office before all this went down. And they were like, oh, thankfully I was with Xander, so it wasn't him. He was just sexually assaulting me. At least he wasn't eating someone. Like, okay.
Yeah.
All up to very bad things.
Yeah. Yes.
They're just grateful that he didn't kill someone. So he's still knocked out in the cage. Giles says he may be able to move the spirits into someone else. I think maybe I skipped that. I think maybe this is where they talk about the volunteers and like, we can't move it to someone else's body. Maybe they didn't say that earlier.
No, but maybe they can. She says no, but maybe they can transfer it back to the hyenas.
That's the goal, right? They want to put it back in the animal.
Yeah.
And
but he's like unsure of the ritual though.
Yeah, and I jumped a little bit too early on this information. It's in this scene that we get that about trying to use the rules of demonic possession. This is actually in this scene. Yep. And he goes to a book in the Malleus Maleficarium. Totally butchered that, but the book he's holding, that is a real book on witchcraft.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
So cool. It's a cool little Easter egg there. They also say, we should talk to that zookeeper because he was quarantining them. Maybe he knows something. He was, said all that stuff to Buffy and Willow outside there. So we what he knows. And Willow's going to stay and watch Xander.
Which I feel like, to me, that sounded like a bad idea.
I mean, in hindsight, I guess. I mean, like, you didn't want to leave him there by himself.
I guess, yeah.
And Buffy, it makes sense for Buffy and Giles to go.
Yeah, okay.
I guess it wasn't a great idea, but what was the alternative? It was the best stuff they had, I guess.
Like, I really could have went with them, but yeah, you're right.
Out, like, somewhere in the neighborhood or something, a lady is walking with her baby.
At night?
At night, through, like, a wooded area.
Like, what? What are you doing?
She's going for a hike at night with her infant baby.
This is, like, all horror movies. Come on.
Do not know anything.
These are the rules. She is.
By something. By these wild dogs.
She's like saying, I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. I am clearly wearing evidence that I am not a virgin.
That's right.
And I'll be right back. Yes. She's like, got a target on her back. So she's going for a hike with her baby at night. And she comes across these people laying on the ground.
They're sleeping.
Weirdly. And they kind of like start waking up and they start kind of growling at her. She's getting freaked out.
And she just slowly backs away.
Yeah, slowly backs away.
They just go back to sleep.
They're like, okay, let's go back to sleep.
One of them has like drool.
Oh, that drool was so gross.
Yeah. Was that like, yeah, that was really gross.
That was nasty.
Yep. Was it like partly principal fluid drool, I think?
Oh, maybe? Gross.
Well, it didn't look just like drool.
I don't know. I didn't think that. I thought it was just drool.
Nope.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yep.
So they have full tummies, so they're just hanging out now, taking a siesta after eating Principal Flutie.
Food comas.
Yeah, they're in food coma. They're like, oh, I never want to see food again. Like, oh.
Until 5 minutes later.
Yeah. Until we wake up from this nap, I don't want to kill somebody again. Yeah. In the library, Xander wakes up, and he kind of calls over to Willow. Willow is watching, like, what's supposed to be hyena footage of, like, them, like, killing things.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I think I read somewhere that all that's footage. We see her watch some footage several times, like again, and it's actually like it is actually wild dogs and not hyenas in the footage.
Oh, okay.
So that's interesting. This is what the stock footage they had.
Interesting.
I guess to use. He wakes up and tries to manipulate Willow, kind of against Buffy, saying, "Oh, like Buffy knocked me out. Like weren't our lives so much better before she came around? Things were simpler. We weren't in danger." Ow. And like you know me, Willow. She says, like, I wanted to make sure it was still you. And she gets closer and closer to the cage, and he tries to grab the keys out of her pocket.
But she gets away. Yeah. He's almost trying to hit on her, too.
Yeah, he was manipulating her totally.
Yeah, he's
trying to make her think certain things that weren't the case. Yeah. And
Sleazy.
She says, well, now I know. I can't trust you. And he's kind of, like, out of luck now. That was his only shot to get out of there. And now he's just got to sit there. Back at the zoo, Giles and Buffy tell the zookeeper about the possession. And he says, I thought there was something weird about those hyenas the minute they came. There was something strange about them. I did some research, and he kind of knows about the primal. He says that breed of hyenas is very rare and vicious. Yeah. He knows about the primals, so like the creepy guys that worship the animals and try to take their spirit. And Giles says, yes, we know in our research that you need a symbol and a predatory act. He's like, oh, a predatory act. Okay. Well, I think with all of our heads combined, we can probably undo this. So why don't you guys meet me at the hyena house and we can together we can reverse this. You just bring Xander there and the rest of the pack will find him. Like once they wake up, they've fed. So once they wake up, they will find him.
And then so Buffy's kind of like, oh, crap.
Which sounds like a great plan, but Willow is alone with Xander at the moment. with no one there to help her. So they run off to save Willow because it seems that the pack is going to come after her.
Yeah, or well, Buffy does anyway.
Yeah, and that's what happens. Willow is watching more hyena footage. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah. And it looks like the same footage, actually.
Glutton for punishment. She's like, this is what Xander's going to be doing to me, maybe, if we don't fix him. Like, just read a book, not about hyenas or something. Do something else. Hack into something. We hear, like, we see Kyle, like, looking in the window, and he's like, Willow, like, calling her
creepy.
name. Calling her name.
Creepy. Yep.
Breaks through the window, and she, to her credit, she immediately is out of there.
Yep.
She doesn't even hesitate. She runs. They all jump through the window.
They follow her.
First, they break Xander out. They, like, pull down the cage because they're super strong and get Xander out. And then they're all sniffing all over him. So weird.
Yeah, that was really weird. I think it's weird when they get out to the hallway to find Willow that they split up. Is that, like, I wondered if that was something that they do in real life, too. Like, I don't know a lot about hyenas, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know. Because
I figured once, right? Yeah, exactly. I figured once you're a pack, you just stay with your pack.
That's a good point. I don't know. I did read that it was weird that Xander kind of became the weird, like, leader. And if it wasn't him, it would have been Kyle. But apparently, hyena packs are led by females.
Really?
Apparently.
Huh. Interesting.
So that would have been cool if one of the girls was leading it. But no.
They had to make Xander.
They had to make one of the guys leader.
They want us to like Xander even less, and it worked.
Yeah. Willow runs into a classroom and hides under a desk. They come in. She thinks that they haven't seen her. It looks like they left. She gets up and right. Xander's there waiting.
He can smell her.
Yeah, I guess she did what she could, but she thought that she had.
Yeah, he tries to attack her, but she gets away.
Yeah,
and then
Buffy shows up and Giles, and they get Willow, and they kind of lock themselves in a room.
Yeah,
and the gang kind of tries to get in there, but they don't give it too much effort,
and then
they don't care as much, and they take off.
Yep.
Buffy says to Willow, "Sorry, we didn't know this was going to happen." She's like, "That's okay." Very forgiving.
She's so cute.
I mean, they didn't know, to be fair, but she's like, "That's fine, no problem." And says, "Hey, I have to. You go to the zoo and get ready. I'm going to lead them to you. You have to be ready when I get there." And she runs off to kind of lure the hyena gang to the zoo. We go to a neighborhood. A mom, a dad, and a kid named Joey. In the captions or in the subtitles, it says that their last name is Anderson, I believe. I think if I remember that right, Anderson. They said that Mr. Anderson said Mrs. Anderson. Okay. And then their son's name is named actually Joey. We hear Joey, so he's Joey Anderson. Okay. And they're having a weird conversation in front of their kid.
It is weird, yeah. I mean,
it's not like some like little thing. It's like talking about how someone else looks, like he finds some other woman attractive. That's how it sounds like, right?
Yeah, I thought it was funny,
that
actually.
He said somebody else, and it's like, that's okay.
Kid's just eating his ice cream. It's fine.
With their kid in the car?
Yeah, whatever.
Like, weird. Like, you can have that argument, but not like with your kid in the car.
I don't know. Didn't your parents have super inappropriate arguments in front of you?
I don't know. They weren't together long enough for me to remember.
Oh, man. Okay.
I was 6 when I got divorced.
Damn. Okay.
I don't remember that much.
All right. That's fair.
I don't remember, like, the conversations they had around me. That's probably,
maybe.
didn't even make it that far.
Yep.
So they're in the car. They're kind of annoyed with each other. He can't find the keys. Yep. And then all of a sudden you kind of hear somebody saying, Joey.
Yeah. Creepy.
And essentially the car just gets attacked. The car gets attacked. They're all over it trying to get in. He does, I think it's Xander that gets in the window and is grabbing Joey.
Yeah.
And his parents are freaking out. And thankfully, Buffy shows up and grabs them all off and says, didn't your mother ever tell you not to play with your food?
Super cheesy.
And says, okay, you know what you really want. Like, you're going, they obviously went for the kid because they go for the weakest of the pack. Yeah. But I think they've had it with her. And she's like, you know what you want? You want me. So she jumps off and runs towards the zoo, and they follow her. Giles and Willow are at the hyena house, and the zookeeper's not there. Like, maybe he's inside. So Willow stays outside to keep watch for Buffy, and Giles heads in to get things ready. He goes in there, and he sees the zookeeper is dressed in ceremonial garb. He's like, his paint is crazy.
Weird. Yeah.
I think it's weird. Also weird because he has like a beard. So it was like in his beard.
Yeah. No,
I don't know why. True. That stuck out to me for some weird reason. And he figures out that he looks at the floor and there's a symbol there. And he's like, this
And it was
already...
there before, and I missed that, actually. I guess I didn't really pay attention at the beginning of the episode, but
He's
it
like,
would have been
this
there.
would have had to be there for the thing to happen in the first place.
Yep.
And he realizes that the zookeeper was trying to do this for himself.
So
But
he wanted to become a hyena.
he wanted the power from the hyenas.
Why?
But what he just said, he wanted the power. He said, the power will be mine.
Okay.
But what he didn't know, what unintentionally, Giles gave him the information about the predatory act.
Yeah.
He didn't know that part. He didn't have that puzzle piece.
Which
So
is
he
what
said,
had happened to the teenagers.
yeah, and he said, like when they're talking before, when you still think he's going to help them, he's like, oh, really? Where did you read that? A predatory act. He kind of gets that last puzzle piece, and he knows he can like manipulate this whole situation.
Yeah.
Giles figures it out, and of course is immediately knocked unconscious.
Yeah,
The guy, whatever stick he's using, he like hits him. The zookeeper hits him, and
Poor
takes Giles
Giles.
out.
He gets hit a lot.
He does. Poor thing. He needs to take some of those self-defense classes. He needs to have Buffy teach him how to defend himself. So he drags Giles off into another room.
And Buffy
Bunny.
Buffy comes running in with the pack chasing her.
R.I.P. The original Principal Flutie. He called her Bunny in the pilot.
That's right. I was just trying to do
You're not the first
throwback.
you're not the first person to call her Bunny.
So they come, and the zookeeper gets Willow. Poor Willow.
Yeah, Willow hears Buffy coming, and Buffy's like, I'm coming, they're right behind me, and runs in there, and the zookeeper ties her up, and she thinks this is just part of, like, the ritual.
She just lets him do it. Like, I was like,
and is
Willow.
holding a knife to her neck, and she's like, oh, you're just going to
We're just going to pretend.
right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah.
Cool,
and then she
cool.
realizes, oh, oops.
Oh, Willow.
When Buffy runs in, she says it's a trap, and Buffy's kind of confused and then gets attacked.
Yep.
And they're kind of on Buffy, like trying to eat her, I guess.
Yeah.
The zookeeper starts saying some words in like
Yeah.
another language, and then you see the green.
The eyes.
It gets the attention of the hyena kids.
Yeah, like
And-
the green eyes leave them.
Yeah. And then his eyes turn green. So you can see that the hyena spirit has left them and has went into him.
Right.
And he immediately starts acting a little bit feral, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
He starts kind of growling. And he immediately, instead of cutting or attempting to cut her throat or anything, he just basically tries to like bite her face.
Mm-hmm.
And Xander is obviously not under the thrall anymore and immediately tries to save her and tackles him.
Yeah. Nice.
Buffy starts to fight him, and they kind of tussle for a while, and then he gets thrown into the enclosure.
I mean, and what kind of karma is this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, he
get
wanted
what
to be a hyena.
that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
So there you
And
go, buddy.
he gets pulled into the enclosure, and the hyenas eat him.
Yep.
They attack him.
Yep. That's an unfortunate ending.
And everybody's kind of like, oh, what happened? Kyle and the other guy, they like run out, I think, immediately when they realize.
Yeah.
And it's just Xander. And Giles comes out of the room. He's like, what did I miss? He's all disheveled. Glasses are all tipsy. And they're like, oh, not much. We're in the quad. Xander claims to not remember anything. He says, oh, you ate a pig. And he's like, what? I did. And he said,
So
what was the name
Did
of
I do anything else weird?
Well, he says about the pig, he says trigomoris or something. Trigmosis or something. It was like I can't remember what it was now. I looked it up, or I had Matt look it up. And it's basically, he said, whatever the disease was, like, I think it was trigomosis. I just butchered that.
Trichomosis?
He said it's like a parasite you can get from eating raw.
Oh.
So he's like worried that he's going to get this parasite. Like, how would Xander know that? I'd never heard of that before in my life.
I had to learn it in school recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I had never heard
worried.
of it before that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I've heard this line before. Obviously, I've seen this episode, but I never I was like, I don't know what that is. Obviously,
Yeah. Okay.
But it's a parasite you can get from eating raw meat.
It is really gross,
or
actually.
undercooked meat.
Yes. Yeah.
And so he's worried about that. Like Xander would ever know what that is. That's a reach. But he says, "Oh yeah, did I do anything else embarrassing?" And they're like, "No, it's okay. We like this Xander. It's fine."
Yeah.
And
They give him a pass.
Willow says, you saved my life. He's like, oh, nobody messes with my Willow. And so she's all happy that
Yeah, she thought that was cute.
friends again.
And Buffy says, this is definitely the superior Xander, except no substitutes.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that Xander was pretty bad.
I mean, this one's better, but the bar isn't set super high.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it is better. Yeah, so I definitely prefer the Xander.
Yeah.
Willow and Buffy head off to lunch, so Xander is kind of on his own now, and he runs into Giles, and Giles says, in my research, I didn't come across anything that talked about memory loss after an animal possession. He's like, did you tell them that? No. He said, your secret will die with me.
And he says, shoot me, stuff me, mount me.
Yeah. And he's like hanging his head. He's all embarrassed. Now, what do you think about this, of Xander saying he couldn't remember? Because I want to get your take on it, and then I'll say what I think. That he won't acknowledge or address the stuff he did.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I didn't like that. I think that, it's unfortunate it happens, and I understand that, like, he was under influence, I guess, and it wasn't him that did it, but you can still address it. You don't have to just pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean...
to me, this was almost like this is... maybe this isn't the best analogy, but, like, it's almost as if somebody was drunk, and they did that, and then they're like, I'm just going to pretend like it didn't happen because I was under some sort of influence, and it wasn't my fault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, he definitely was, like, not himself. Like, I don't think Xander would have attacked Buffy.
No, he definitely wouldn't have.
But
still.
It happened.
Exactly. You can't just shove it under a rug.
If I did that to somebody, like, if I was in Xander's position and he cares about Buffy, I would want it to be addressed.
Yep.
Circumstances understood. I would want to apologize for that happening. And
exactly.
You have to, it's natural that he would feel some responsibility for it.
I would hope so, but he just gets a cop-out, basically.
He just gets whatever. She just lets it go.
I get a jail-free card?
Yeah, get a jail-free card. She lets it go, and he doesn't. They all know that it happened, and I don't know if Giles knows. Willow knows.
I don't think Giles knows.
And Willow definitely knows. We know that because she told
I feel like I would like to think that Giles wouldn't be like, your secret is safe with me otherwise.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially he's an adult.
Yeah, I agree. I hope that's the case. Yeah. I just think I would have had a lot more respect for Xander.
Yep.
That once he was himself again, he addressed it with Buffy.
Yeah, of course. Same. Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
And it was almost more like he was just like embarrassed rather than upset.
Exactly.
He had attacked his friend.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Xander.
Yeah. Yeah. Not cool.
He lets me down again. So, he just sulks off. That'll be forgotten about.
Yeah, exactly. It'll just be forgotten about.
And that is the pack. That's the end of the episode.
Yep.
We'll do my favorite line and my favorite scene. My favorite line, I already mentioned, but I will say again. You're going to have so much detention, your grandchildren will be staying after school. By R.I.P. Principal Flutie.
Yeah. Poor Principal Flutie.
My favorite scene, I think, I didn't have... This was like teacher's pet for me. I didn't have a lot of favorite lines. I didn't have a lot of favorite scenes to choose from. I went for the dodgeball scene, though.
Oh, that was a good one. Okay.
Because it was entertaining. The teacher was funny. Like, at the end, when he's like, this is so violent. Sport is so violent. I love it.
That was cute, yeah.
And it showed, like, Xander kind of, like, before that, he wasn't totally part of the group, the pack.
Yep.
And after that, he was with them all the time.
Yep.
He was, like, aggressive towards Willow. It showed the whole, like, turning on the weak thing. Yeah. Buffy was, like, kicking ass at the dodgeball game. Mm-hmm. So I think that was probably, like, one that I enjoyed rewatching the most.
Okay. That was a good one. I think my favorite scene was when Buffy and Giles were training. I just thought that was cute.
That is
again, watching them develop their relationship more, and yeah, just like how she, like, it's nothing to her, and for him it's like basically killing him, which was funny.
It's not the only time we will see people training with Buffy and she's like, bah, 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 and they're like, oh.
I love that.
Killing me.
And then, yeah, my favorite line, which I think I already mentioned, was when Giles says, testosterone turns all men into morons.
Mm-hmm. Ain't it the truth?
I mean...
Ain't it the truth?
I can't argue with that.
Yeah, he speaks the truth. What are you going to say?
How many steaks do you give this episode?
I gave it, I rated it, and then I was like, what did I give Teacher's Pet? And I gave this one a 3, and I gave Teacher's Pet a 2. So I actually did rate it higher. I think I'm going to say 3. I'm going to stick with that. But if I had to, like, think about it more, maybe I would say 2.5.
Okay. I think I'm also giving it a 3, actually.
The reasons I said that is another Xander-centric episode, which I'm not a fan of Xander-centric episodes. Xander not fessing up, I didn't like.
Yeah.
It was not as funny. It wasn't as funny to me as, like, Never Killing Boy on the First Date, which I thought was a brilliantly funny episode.
Yeah. Cute.
And again, problematic Xander in general.
Yeah.
Like, those are the reasons I just didn't like it. We've had 2 Xander episodes, and we haven't had one Willow one. We really haven't had a Buffy one. Like, we've had stuff with Buffy in it. Like, I guess The Witch, I guess this is a Buffy episode. Buffy-centric episode. But, yeah.
Okay.
Want my Willow episode. It's about time. It's halfway through the season, we've had 2 Xander ones. What are they thinking with the order of these scripts, personally?
Yeah, I don't know.
Looking back.
Xander's had too much time.
I guess they're really trying to, like, force people to try to like him, but they're not doing a good job.
Nope.
They're failing. So you gave it 3 as well.
Yeah.
Your question for the next episode, which is called Angel, I wonder what that could be about.
Ooh! Yay. Okay, great. My favorite
Angel's
character.
back in the next episode. He's your favorite character? Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, I would have to say my favorite my favorite character is Giles.
Yeah, okay. I do really like Giles, too.
Yeah. I mean, all around favorite. I mean, the hottest is obviously Angel. The one I prefer to look at the most is Angel, of course.
Right? Yeah.
So in the next episode, Angel has a tattoo. What is it of?
Maybe it's something religious, like a cross. Yep, going with a cross.
Okay.
I don't know, or some sort of religious connotation.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to write this down so that when we talk about it next week, I'll be like, right, that's what I said.
Right.
Because I remembered last week that I was very wrong about the field trip. So
I tried to, like, I was like, the pack, huh? Wink, wink, wink. And you're like, art museum. I'm like,
I mean, there's no way I would have I just wouldn't have thought of that.
I mean, most of these are just, like, crazy little details, right?
Yeah, and I think I was just way too hyper-focused on what field trips I would have went to in high school, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So that wraps it up for the pack. If you'd like to find us, you can find us on YouTube. If you like to watch along and listen along, you can find us on pretty much every major podcast app. If you have one that you like and you don't see us, please reach out and let me know, and I can see what I can do about getting us on there. To do that, you can find us on YouTube and Instagram at One Girl in All the World Pod. So you can direct message us there, or leave a comment, whatever, or you can email at onegirlpod@gmail.com. So we will be back next week with Angel. Slay her real soon. Slay her real soon.
Nice. I like that.
I just came up with that. You like it?
Nice. Yeah, I do. I approve.